Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to look at a couple of new cards. A card that I'm calling a game changer and a game ender. We got a new stadium card, which is genuinely huge and is going to make a huge difference to the Pokemon TCG in terms of playability and what decks are good, etc. And we've got ourselves a new Pokemon V that I wasn't really expecting. But you know what? I'm down with it because it looks awesome. And shout out to the lovely Antoine Boulet, who has provided some of our translations here. They're the Japanese cards. And the lovely Airglow TCG, who has provided our translations for the Chinese language cards. Wonderful. But I'm going to start off with the stadium because this one could be huge. Now, first of all, I need to mention it's a new stadium, and once again, it's been drawn by Kaito. Kaito's been doing a bunch of stadiums lately, and I've said it a bunch of times, and I'm going to say it a bunch more. Whoever decided to start letting Kaito do these stadiums is a genius who deserves a gigantic hug, because that artist is absolutely knocking it out the park. We've already seen Jubilee Village in terms of Legends Arceus places drawn by Kaito. Now we got Temple of Sinnoh, and I, for one, am delighted. But what does it actually do? All special energy attached to Pokemon in play provide a single colorless energy and have no other effect. Basically, what we're looking at here is Dusknoir's ability as a stadium card. And when Dusknoir came out, I went, oh, well, that's a phenomenal ability, but nobody's ever going to use it because it's a stage 2. And unfortunately, that has borne out. It is a fantastic ability, but nobody uses it because it's a stage 2. And that's a bit of a problem. Here we've just got it as a stadium. And make no mistake about it, this is absolutely huge and gigantic. So let's take something that I personally love, which is going to be wrecked by this, because, you know, why don't we start off on a negative? Let's take something like Wormadam. I like Wormadam. It's one of those decks we see coming around quite a lot, which is essentially 2 colorless energy. Here it's 2 colorless energy, and you deal 30 damage base, plus 10 more for each Pokemon in your discard pile. And there are a few of them in Brilliant Stars. Well, here you basically use the combination of Twin Energy and Double Turbo Energy to make sure that you've just always attaching a single energy and you're good. Well, now all of a sudden, Twin Energy is a single energy and Double Turbo Energy is a single energy. And now all of a sudden, this doesn't work anymore. This just becomes a deck where you've got to attach twice to 110 HP stage 1 in order to get an attack off, and to put it simply, it's not going to work. You have to play a counter stadium if you're playing something like a Wormadam deck, or else you are done. Completely and utterly done. But let's take another example. Let's take Hisuian Samurott V-Star. I love Hisuian Samurott V-Star. It's another deck I'm going to be playing around with a lot when Astral Radiance launches. It's got an attack for 2 Darkness Energy that does 110 damage, but an extra 110 if there are any damage counters on it. On the active Pokemon, obviously. So what you need to do is get a bit of damage on, then you hit 220 for 2 energy, which is great. Best ways to get damage on at the moment, you're generally looking at abilities like Galarian Digzagoon or Inteleon. Problem is, if you find yourself against a Fusion Strike deck, and there's a few of them around at the moment, they are going to be using Fusion Strike Energy, and one of the things that Fusion Strike Energy does is it stops any effects of abilities done to the Pokemon it's attached to. So if I'm playing Samurott against a Mew deck, for instance, I can't use something like Inteleon to put damage onto Mew to then hit for 220 and get a big KO, because Fusion Strike Energy stops Inteleon's ability damaging Mew, and I'm a bit sad. But now I use Sinnoh Temple, and that turns off Fusion Strike Energy, just turns it into a normal single colorless energy, and then I'm good. And this is huge. And I could sit here for the next hour and just talk about particular energies that are going to be stopped, particular decks that are going to be stopped. This is just huge. One thing that is important to mention, it turns them into a single colorless energy. What it does not do is turn them into colorless energy. So something like Twin Energy or Double Turbo would go to 1 energy, not 2. If it kept it at 2, that would actually make double turbo energy better, because you wouldn't do the 20 damage less. Unfortunately, that's not a thing. But something like single strike energy, that's going to be a pretty big one, right? Because not only does single strike energy then not do the extra damage, but it's a colorless energy. And if you take something like Gengar V Max as an example, Gengar V Max kind of needs darkness energy. That's kind of the point. Gengar's good attack is done, or at least the attack, we generally start with, for 2 darkness energy, and the other one is 3 darkness energy. So what I'm saying is that if you put a single strike energy on a Gengar, and then Sinnoh Temple hits the field, it might as well not be on there. It's not just that you don't get the extra 20 damage, it's that all of a sudden it's a colorless energy, and a colorless energy will not pay the attack cost of Gengar's attack. This is ridiculous. We could look at Rapid Strike energy, which then becomes 1 energy, and it's neither water nor fighting. So that is going to, take something like a Rapid Strike Urshifu deck, is just going to be wrecked by this. And don't get me wrong, Rapid Strike Urshifu has 1 colorless energy in its attack cost, the second one at least, but you couldn't use Gale Frost on it, and you would need 2 fighting and a Rapid Strike energy. And again, these are just examples. This is a flat-out slam dunk 5 WOSY card. This is going to make a huge difference to the competitive game, because between Double Turbo, Fusion Strike energy, Single Strike energy, Rapid Strike energy, we're in a format right now where there are a lot of good special energy cards that make a lot of decks very good. This is going to have a huge impact on all of those decks. But we also have a Weirdia V coming along. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this because we honestly don't know, but I am kind of expecting this to get a V-star. Or I suppose, to put it another way, I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Now, on the one hand, generally speaking, when we get these reveals, we get them together. Weirdia got revealed at the same time as Heatran V and Heatran V-star. So why would they do that and only reveal Weirdia V? But then again, we saw the other day that Cleaver is getting a V-star, and Weirdia and Cleaver are kind of getting a bit linked in the Pokemon TCG. We saw that they were together in Battle Region, and not only were they both together in Battle Region, but we also got those character rares of them at the same time. I don't know. I could be wrong about this. It's not a hugely confident prediction, but it would make me sad if they gave Cleaver a V-star, but left Weirdia out. For the time being, however, Weirdia V is good. And honestly, we generally don't see good Vs getting V-stars, so it doesn't feel like there is going to be a V-star, because they didn't reveal it because the V's quite good, but it kind of feels like there should be. I hope that makes sense. Point is, what we've got here in terms of HP is 220. That's about as high as we generally tend to get. The weakness to fighting is actually kind of a pain, because remember, if anything weak to fighting ever actually becomes good, then Galarian Zapdos becomes an amazing single energy counter for the majority of them, so that's something we can be a little bit sad about. But what we've got here is an ability that we've seen a few times before. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to become your active Pokemon, you may move any number of energy from your other Pokemon to it. Oh, it's one of them. Funnily enough, it's Heatran GX, which I find very funny, because we've just seen Heatran V Max revealed at the same time as Weirdia, and Weirdia is basically Heatran GX, which is a little bit strange. Now, what is interesting here is that Heatran GX was just fire energy moving over as a fire Pokemon. Weirdia is actually coming in as a colorless Pokemon and can move any energy over. Remember, the regular Weirdia we saw actually came through as a psychic Pokemon. This one comes through as a colorless Pokemon. So what we really want with Weirdia is the kind of attack that Heatran had that does more damage for each energy on, and that's exactly what we've got here. What we do for a minimum 3 colorless energy is 40 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. Oh, well, that's a little bit ridiculously good. Okay, fine, it does 10 damage less per energy than Heatran, but remember that Heatran was a GX attack. It was your once per game GX attack, and if you used it, not only could you not use it again, but you couldn't use any GX attack for the rest of the game. But this one you totally can. You can use it every gosh darn turn if you want. I really like this. I really like this. To put it simply, this is going to be played in a lot of decks. It's a single card in your deck. It's a basic Pokemon, right? So when I'm thinking about can I fit this into my deck, it is literally a single card deck. I'm using one space in my deck in order to actually use this. That's not a big deal. And it's colorless energy, so literally any deck whatsoever can fit this in. Now, it really does depend on what kind of deck you're playing. It depends on whether you've got lots of energy, etc. But think of something like a Darkrai deck. Darkrai's got that kind of attack that we've seen on Darkness Pokemon quite a lot. It's Darkrai V-Star, obviously, whereby you deal 30 damage plus 30 more for each energy attached to, or darkness energy attached to, all of your Pokemon. Well, if you move all the energy over to Weirdia, rather than doing 30 times plus 30, you're doing 40 times, which, as long as you've got more than 3 energy total on the board, is more damage. So why not just play a one-of Weirdia, and then at the end of the game, move 10 energy over, do 400 damage, and then sit there chuckling to yourself? Could work, honestly. Could work. And it's a basic Pokemon. It's just so good. It's basically Heatran GX. It is very, very similar to Heatran GX. Heatran, it's got the same ability, and it's almost got the same attack, but it's 40 times, not 50 times, but it does work for any energy. And I know Heatran was 1 energy and this is 3. Let me spoil the surprise. Heatran might have been a single energy attack, and I watched enough games and played enough games that, yes, I saw this used for 1 energy. But generally speaking, if you've not got at least 3 energy on there, you probably shouldn't be using it. So I don't really care. What I'm saying is that if you're playing any deck with a decent amount of energy in the deck, especially if you're playing anything with energy acceleration, this should be an absolute given. Playing a Frostmoth deck with a bunch of water energy, you should definitely be playing one of these. Anyone out there still trying to make Cherin from Battlestars work with a bunch of grass energy? Brilliant, you should definitely be playing one of these. I'm not going to keep going, that would be kind of pointless. My point is, Flaffy, there we go, because I love that Okacheke artwork. Playing a lightning deck using a bunch of Flaffy, play one of these. Single card, smash for huge damage to end the game. I cannot be the only person that thinks this looks absolutely phenomenal. I am again giving this 5 Wassies. I think these are legitimately 2 5 Wassie cards. Although, I do just want this out there. It's the weekend. I got kids. Did they need to reveal a new proper VMAX that cannot just be explained away as a random promo and an amazing stadium and an amazing Pokemon V on the weekend when I'm trying to relax? I'm like, that's a weekday kind of thing, yeah? Don't make me work on the weekends. Although, let's be clear, right? I'm not actually upset about having to make videos about super exciting Pokemon stuff on the weekend. My wife is wonderful and understands. I found time when I won't be missed too much, and I do very much enjoy talking about this stuff. I think I will get over it. The point is, these are going to be cards you are going to see a lot of. A huge amount of. Any deck playing a decent amount of energy, especially with energy acceleration, you've got to be at least considering a Weirdia V. It's one spot in your deck. And any deck that has any problem with any other deck that relies even a little bit on special energy now has a really nice answer. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, these look really good. That's what I think, at least. But this is one of those videos where I need you to tell me, am I overrating these? Am I just getting a little bit excited because I don't always sleep all that much? Young children. Am I just getting excited because I'm working on a weekend? Or are these the kind of cards that I should be super hyped to go and make videos about? Because honestly, right now, that's where I am. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/TheWassie. patreon.com/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.